Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing the Vampire Diaries as Taylor Swift albums. So my current hyperfixation is the Vampire Diaries and I'm always obsessed with Taylor Swift, so I thought why not combine them for a video. I'm just focusing on the Vampire Diaries cast. So no spoilers at all for Legacies because I haven't seen it, and maybe minor spoilers for the originals, but probably not much, and then definitely spoilers for the Vampire Diaries. Okay, anyway, let's get to it. Okay, so starting off, of course, with Miss Elena Gilbert, our main protagonist. Honestly, hard to place. I ended up with two, but I had two others that I was debating. One that I was debating was Life of a Showgirl. Because of the kind of like joy just in it, Elena goes through so much hardship over the course of the show, it's actually ridiculous. Except for when she turns off her humanity or gets addicted to drugs. She kind of is just like smiling through it all, and at the end of the day she is a wish list girl. She just wants to settle down, be with Damon or Stefan, whoever is her Salvatore of choice at the moment. I also really debated Red. Red is one of my favorites. A lot of people don't like it because of how kind of disjointed the songs are, but I think that it's such a great example of Taylor Swift's writing ability and also kind of just the highs and lows of any relationship. And I think that Elena really shows that wide range of human emotion, from sad, beautiful, tragic, 22, treacherous, holy ground, that vibe, like the high highs and the low lows. Elena definitely has that. And at the end of the day, she's just a girl in love, whether that love is falling apart, breaking down, or I don't know, building up. However, the two albums that I decided on, and I'll argue which one I think is more, are Fearless and Speak Now. These two albums are just so quintessential girlhood, but also have a level of optimism that Elena continues to carry throughout all of the seasons that she's on the show. Again, despite all of the bullshit the writers put her through, losing literally every member of her family, some of them multiple times, being the center of the attention. Elena has main character syndrome, but I hate when people use that as like an argument for her because she's literally the main character, and for the first 3 seasons, everything is actually about her. Fearless and Speak Now have a bit of that self-centeredness because it is ultimately a teenage girl's growing up and perception of the world. Fearless and Speak Now are kind of seen as those fairy tale albums. Speak Now, though, with a bit of that disillusionment. Speak Now is like obviously the older version of Fearless with a bit of that hope gone, with like innocent and never grow up and mean and better than revenge, which I think are very Elena songs. Maybe not mean, but definitely like innocent and never grow up. But then Fearless is the optimistic version of Speak Now, and I think she's very 15, fearless. The Way I Loved You is so Delana coded. If a fictional couple does not relate to The Way I Loved You, I don't want it. White Horse, for some reason, for me is a very Elena song. I think that she starts off as fearless. Actually, no. I'm gonna say Elena is fearless. I was gonna say she starts off as fearless and then by the end she kind of gets to Speak Now territory with a bit of that disillusionment. But I think that at the end of the day, she's an optimistic fairy tale girl who's just a teenage girl living in the world, and that's the vibes. I have so many songs for Elena. Obviously, as I said, The Way I Loved You for Delana. Labyrinth feels very Elena. The Uh-Oh I'm Falling in Love, especially while she is with Stefan but falling for Damon, the never trusted anything that rises fast, which doesn't work actually because of how quickly her and Stefan fall in love, but I guess then when she's falling in love with Damon, she's like, this shouldn't work. Glitch is very Delana coded as well. It's actually hard to find songs that are more Elena, but I think that if it's Delana, it fits with Elena. Paper Rings is so Elena. As I said, she's very wish list, pretty honey coded. The Fate of Ophelia is very Stefan and Elena. I don't know if I would say it's Stelena as much as I would say it's Elena and this supernatural world, as she was so depressed and so like not having a fun time, and then Stefan comes in with this kind of introduction that saves her, and I'd say that's The Fate of Ophelia. Everyone in this damn show is You're on Your Own Kid. I'm gonna say that for every single person. She's kind of eldest daughter coded. She is the eldest daughter, and I think especially the bridge of eldest daughter is very her, with that like nostalgia and that kind of comes with the show, where she's often looking back at her time before vampires came into her life or before her parents died. My Tears Ricochet, Girl Be Crying, Bigger Than the Whole Sky, any of those sad songs, The Best Day, absolutely. That is Elena. Next, on to my personal favorite. This is my boy. Damon Damon was the easiest to pick for me. So much so that I like questioned whether or not it was accurate, but his is just the easiest. Bro was Reputation. Is that just because of the aesthetic? Because this man will be wearing a leather jacket. And I said no. Reputation at the end of the day is a love song album. That is an in-love album that's masquerading as this like grungy, hardcore, I don't know, album. Damon is the same way. Damon is a lover boy in his heart and he just wants to be loved. He wants someone to stick with him. He wants to stick by someone else. He wants someone to have faith in him, but no one just ever has. So he masquerades, he wears the leather jacket, he kills people, he makes the wrong decisions, he'll make the bad decision to save someone else from having to make that. He's really look what you made me do, which who made you do it? I don't know, but he's blaming someone else. At the same time, don't blame me. Very Damon. New Year's Day. He just wants that. Ready for It, I feel like fits his I did something bad. I didn't actually write down a whole bunch of songs for Damon because I just kind of figured Reputation pretty much sums him up. I feel like he would get down to 1989 though, I gotta say. He's kind of fresh out the slammer. Little bit Daddy I Love Him, but that's a little more Elena. So if you have more Damon opinions, please let me know because evidently I have very limited ones. Okay, Stefan, I have also options for. To me, he's Midnights. I thought about putting him in Lover, but I think he's Midnights. I will elaborate. Lover is definitely kind of the opposite of Reputation, where the aesthetic and the vibes and what it's masquerading as is an in-love album. It's actually quite an anxious, please don't leave me album. Very Stefan coded. Very The Archer. Stereoline is very it's nice to have a friend. He's kind of Death by a Thousand Cuts. Daylight vibes. Afterglow. I think he's Midnights. Stefan is being kept up at night by the ghosts of his past, by being a ripper and not being able to control his bloodlust. That really takes precedent in his mind and his values and how he makes decisions. There are love songs on that album. I think his just romantic relationships are so sweet nothing, where he's saying like, everything is going wrong, I just want to be with you. I just want this and that's all I want. He's quite Dear Reader coded with the never take advice from someone who's falling apart, because people see him as the brother that is together and is the good vampire. And then we get the reveal that he is a ripper and he actually has no clue what he's doing, guys. No, humanity off Stefan or like ripper Stefan is so vigilante shit and bejeweled. Anti-hero, he's pretty anti-hero. And then I'd also say he's very, this is me trying. Peace feels like Stefan. Stefan is peace. I think Stefan would love Folklore. The escapism, right up that boy's alley. I think Stefan views his relationships as Midnight Rain. I don't think that's an accurate take. He's kind of innocent coded. Anyway, so that's Stefan. He's Midnights. Then my girl Caroline. I love Caroline. She's my girl. She was very hard to place. Let me tell you. I considered putting her in 1989 because I saw a TikTok a little while ago of someone saying that she is 1989 because people don't expect her to be deep. They expect her to be very surface level, and like 1989 feels like her most surface level album, and I'd say it is. It's the least personal, but then it has some banger lyrics and it has some like incredible, and it has her most popular songs. However, I don't think she's 1989. I saw a lot of things vouching for Fearless for her. However, I think the toss-up for Caroline is not between 1989 and Fearless. I'd argue it's between The Life of a Showgirl and Lover, and let me get into why. So clearly she's very much a pop girly. She's very much an in-love optimistic album, which is why I'm leaning more showgirl, because Lover isn't quite as optimistic. But like London Boy for her and Klaus, Soon You'll Get Better for her relationship with her mom, unfortunately, and then also a bit The Best Day from Fearless for her and her mom. She's also a little The Archer coded, not quite as much as I'd say Stefan is, but definitely a bit. It's Nice to Have a Friend, as I said, very Stereoline coded. I feel like she would get down to the man, and I think like at the end of the day, the voice note at the end of Daylight, I want to be remembered by the things that I love, not by the things that I hate or I'm afraid of. I just think you are what you love is very Caroline coded. I think that thesis of the album is very Caroline. Ultimately, I think she's The Life of a Showgirl, because I think Caroline is the happiest with being a vampire. She's the happiest with how her life kind of turns out. The Life of a Showgirl was written when Taylor was the most happy. Most of the songs are applicable to Caroline. The Fate of Ophelia Whereas for Elena, it works for the supernatural being introduced into her life to save her from the depression spiral she was on after her parents died. I think it works for Caroline also for vampirism. She was this insecure control freak who felt like she was second to Elena her entire life, and now she is something else, and she just truly thrives as a vampire in a way that no one else really does. I'd also say Life of a Showgirl, if you replace Showgirl with a vampire, and it's like she is Kitty singing to Elena, or I don't know, someone else, like some other new vampire, I think that works really well. Ruin the friendship, so extremely storyline coded in ways I can't even express. Friends to lovers that misses the opportunity, and although Caroline or Stairline ultimately takes the opportunity, it ends as poorly as the song does. Cancelled for Caroline, she kills, like, I think she kills at most 15 to 20 people in the course of the show. Everyone else is killing more and doing worse than Caroline. She loves her friends canceled, and especially like Klaus. I'm a Caroline girly if you can't tell. She's so honey. Like, I just think she is Showgirl. And if you disagree, I also think Lover is applicable. Some songs that are not on Showgirl or Lover that I think are very applicable to her. This Is Me Trying. Not as much as Stefan, but definitely in the beginning, and even when she's just trying to like grapple with being a vampire. Invisible in seasons 1 and 2. Clean. I don't remember why I wrote Clean. Maybe about Caroline? I don't know. I wrote Clean down though. When Emma Falls in Love. Girl is Emma. And Mirror Ball. She's very Mirror Ball. Okay, next on my other girl, Miss Bonnie Bennett. She is a sad album. I don't care which album you pick, but she's a sad album. I will present two to the court though. Number 1, we have Evermore. The just sadness, but also a bit of the escapism. I didn't put anyone as folklore, I believe, because folklore is hard to pick with just the variety of stories that are presented on it, but I don't think I can really put anyone as folklore because it doesn't really work, although I think my biggest argument for it could be Bonnie, with the escapism and the living multiple lives kind of vibe. But I just think she's, of the sister albums, the like darker winter version of the two, which I would say is Evermore. And especially like the 2 bonus tracks, Right Where You Left Me and It's Time to Go, is Bonnie over and over again. She's constantly getting left behind, but also constantly like, I need to up and leave. Marjorie is her and Sheila. I feel like she's kind of closure, especially like anytime Damon pisses her off, she's like, I don't need your closure, I'm good. Long story short, I survive Miss Bonnie Bennett. But the one I'm ultimately, I think, gonna put her in, it's really close between these two, but I think I'm just edging a little more closer to Tortured Poets Department for her. That kind of wallowing, hit after hit after hit vibe just applies to Bonnie so much. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? Very Bonnie. So High School feels very Benenzo to me. I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, incredibly Bonnie. She will be doing it no matter what her circumstances are. Fortnite feels Bonnie to me. I don't really know why. The Bolter, maybe a little bit. The Albatross, I'd say. I Look in People's Windows just kind of a little bit in the fact that like, or even the Prophecy, in that she just like never can win. She's getting like, she sees all her friends being happy in their lives and she's dead or dying or sacrificing, or they only call her because they need something from her. So I think that kind of like melancholy take on the Tortured Poets Department really applies to Bonnie, unfortunately. But then some of like the happy songs apply to her too. Some songs that are not Tortured Poets Department though, definitely Father Figure, that she does protect the family. And then Paris for Benenzo, because they go to Paris famously. I'd also say a little bit The Outside from Debut, like that summer where she's dead and she's watching them all have the summer of their lives and not even realize she's dead because she's getting Jeremy to email them all. Like, it's so, she can never win and she can never have what they all have. Okay, moving on to Matt. I'm not gonna mince words, he's Debut. And I don't even have that many songs for Matt. The first song I had for him was A Place in This World. He's just a girl trying to find his place in this world, which I think is what he's like grappling with the entire show, is not knowing how to deal with the supernatural and the existence of it, and how vampires have affected his life and his friends' lives. The supernatural is going to stay in their lives, but I don't necessarily want it to stay in and affect my life. Very Place in the North World, very The Outside, again with that on the outside of vampirism and on the outside of just like, he can't live a normal life without vampires in it. He can't really live a normal life with them. Invisible feels kind of Matt to me as well. If you have more Matt songs, let me know. At this point, I don't. Okay, Tyler is Speak Now to me. Not aesthetically, I'd say. The first song I chose for him was Innocent. You know, the fact that in order to activate your werewolf curse, you have to take a human life. But then also the treatment of his father for him. Very, you're still an innocent. And then Better Than Revenge. Bro's only goal in life is to attack Klaus. and he fails over and over and over again. He's also kind of I know places place in this world. He really doesn't know what he's doing, and he's just trying to find his place in this world. Should have said no to Klaus. Him singing to Caroline should have said no about Klaus. Yeah, never grow up. Mean. Spark Slime maybe for Forwood. Yeah. Then we have Jeremy. Jeremy was hard as hell to place. Ultimately, I think I'm putting him in 1989. I'm not very confident about it. I also considered Fearless, which then both Gilberts are in Fearless. But it's just kind of, he's got kind of that joyfulness. He starts off the show depressed as hell. By the end, he's kind of just like, it is what it is. And I'm happy with it. The only songs I've written down for him, however, are from Evermore, Coney Island, and It's Time to Go. Coney Island is very falling in love with Anna, ghost core, and then even falling in love with Bonnie and her being a ghost. And then obviously It's Time to Go with him leaving the show. And kind of right where you left me as well with his parents, but then also both of all of his girlfriends dying. Out of the Woods, I Wish You Would. Like, I Wish You Would Come Back, which I'd never hung up the phone. Ugh. So Jeremy. Clean. Bye bye baby. Happiness? Happiness feels Elena coded to me. And that is all I'll say. Okay, on to, I guess I should do Alaric. Alaric was very hard for me because I don't care about Alaric that much. I ended up putting him as kind of a mix of Evermore and Red. Ultimately, he's just kind of a sad boy who just wants to raise his girls, I guess, by the end of the show. But like, Jenna dies, Meredith Fell leaves him, Joe dies. So those like sad, like, I feel like he's kind of like Marjorie. I think Treacherous is pretty him. Red could also work for him in State of Grace. Maybe he's more Red than Evermore, but I think one of those more like autumnal sad albums is definitely more Alaric. At the end of the day, I don't have that strong an opinion on him. He's the one I think I'm least confident on overall. So if you have a strong opinion on Alaric, please let me know because I don't care about him. But I think I came up with enough. I came up with what, 3 songs? Enzo, Torture Poets Department, Fresh Out the Slammer. That's it. So High School kind of gives me Benenzo vibes for some reason a lot. Wish I could tell you why. I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can. Bro's Gonna Hold a Grudge. I don't know. I feel like they kind of change Enzo's character quite a little bit, especially between season 7 and season 8. Like, they don't know what to do with him. Beyond the Augustines, it's like they didn't have a plan for him for a while, so they make him like hate Stefan. And I really just wish they had made him more of a bestie with Damon instead of making him hate Stefan. But then I do like Benenzo. I think they work fine. Maybe the prophecy a little bit for him. Doesn't he want to kill Dr. Whitmore? He wants to kill Dr. Whitmore's dog. We could do the black dog. Then Catherine. Catherine I feel very confident on. She is Reputation. And again, it was like Damon where I was like, oh, is it just the aesthetic that she's like the bad girl, so I'm gonna put her with like Reputation? No. I did something bad. They're burning all the witches even if you aren't one. Feels very hurt. As I'm saying it, I'm like, why didn't I put that for Bonnie, who's literally a witch? Couldn't tell you. Getaway Car? Hell yeah, that's Catherine. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? Not Reputation, but definitely Catherine coded. Same with Is It Over Now for some reason. I just feel like that's very her. Dress is very Catherine coded. This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things. Maybe even Delicate. She just feels very Reputation coded to me. That same love hidden behind a wall. Not as much capacity for love as Damon has, but definitely kind of the same vibe. And even then, just a lot of the songs feel very applicable to Catherine and like her relationship with the brothers, and then just also like her running away from Klaus her whole life. Speaking of which, onto my boy Klaus. At the end of the day, I am a Klaus girly. I am like I think for me it's Klaus, Damon, Stefan, Elijah. Them I can't pick between. But I'm a Klaus girly. And even more so than any of them, I'm a Caroline girly, so obviously I'm a Caroline stan, just in case you were wondering where I stood. 2 honorable mentions for Klaus are Speak Now and Torture Post Department. Speak Now, specifically the Michelsons as a whole, are very long-lived, as well as he is very innocent. Which is incredibly ironic seeing as he's killed so many people and he's so violent, but just more so in the way that Tyler is an innocent coded person in the abuse that he takes from his dad. He kind of feels Torture Poets Department to me. Like, he just feels very tortured, feels beat down, has a lot to say. Everything's about me and my sorrows. He's very And Another Thing. That's my boy. But ultimately, I'm putting him in Midnights, which is the same thing I did for Stefan, because Klaus again is just like being kept awake by his demons. That boy is so anti-hero coded. He is so, I'll stare directly at the sun but never in the mirror. Get that boy in therapy right now. But a therapist that's not Camille. Very Midnight Rain. I'd say Midnight Rain is quite Claraline, but even almost more so Camille. Would've, could've, should've is definitely his opinion and relationship with Michael. He's kind of mastermind. I'd almost give mastermind more to Elijah, but definitely at the beginning of the originals and all the master plans he's making, I'm like, bro, that is mastermind coded. That is a mastermind. But then also, like, no one wanted to play with me as a little kid, so I've been scheming ever since. Like, Sweet Nothing is so Hope and Klaus. Don't get me started. And then the only one that doesn't fit on one of these albums is Father Figure. I also think Fortnite kind of works for Claraline. The Bolter, did I say the Bolter for Catherine? Catherine is so the Bolter. Okay, then we have Mr. Elijah, Mr. Red Door. He was hard as hell to pick. Let me tell you, hard as hell. I want to put him in Midnights as well because he's kind of same vibe as Klaus, but I also kind of want to put him in Red with like those low lows, but I don't know that he has the high highs of Red, but he definitely has that like kind of disillusionment that Red has and the disconnectedness. And then there's also like the Red Door of it all, where he feels very sad, beautiful, tragic, treacherous, the last time. But then from Midnights we have like vigilante shit, mastermind, anti-hero as well. You're on Your Own Kid, again, You're on Your Own Kid applies to everyone on this list. They've all been abandoned by literally every parent they've ever had, except for maybe Caroline. Dear Reader, I think is quite Elijah as well. I'd also say he is This Is Me Trying, and I want to put Forever and Always in there just for fun because it's the reverse of Always and Forever. Finally, Rebecca. I like 1989 for her. I think she would love 1989. I think Rebecca loves Slut. That feels like her, where she's just like getting with everyone, but she's like, but hey, if I'm in love, I do not care. She also feels very fearless with the fairy tale of it all and the hope. I think she's Red or Debut. I think she's that kind of dichotomy with Red of the high highs and low lows and disjointedness, but ultimately she is an in love album. Or Debut, because she's just a girl trying to find a place in this world. She's been trying to for 1,000 years and she still hasn't. She's a perfectly good heart. Why would you want to break a perfectly good heart? That's what she's asking literally every person, and Klaus as well. Oh my god, the outside being Rebecca talking to humans or just humanity in general, or even just like her view of high school in those experiences she'll never get to have as an original vampire. I Know Places feels very her, and I Wish You Would. Tolerate It is so Rebecca coded. And then My Tears Ricochet as well. But yeah, ultimately I think she is Debut. You can make an argument for Red, but I didn't even have a single Red song for hers. And then, as I said, Delana, very The Way I Loved You, Fearless, This Love. What else do we have for Delana? Stelena is kind of the one. I think Claraline is All of the Girls You Loved Before. Also maybe Stairline. Back to December feels Elena to Stefan. The apology of it all. I feel like Begin Again could be Benenzo. Call It What You Want could be Delana. Could also be a little, what's that called? Jana? Jeremy and Anna. Benenzo is Cardigan. Cornelia Street kind of feels like, what's their, Rebecca and Marcel. I know it's the originals, but whatever. Cowboy Like Me feels like Claraline because Klaus is the only other person that understands how much Caroline is okay with being immortal and being a vampire. Very like that. Enchanted feels just like Delana at Miss Mystic Falls. Stairline, Ruin the Friendship, You Are in Love. Jeremy and Bonnie should have said no. As much as I love Anna and Jeremy together, don't cheat on my girl Bonnie. Benenzo, Last Kiss. Also, still Stairline, Last Kiss. False God, a little bit Delana. Girl at Home, again, Jeremy. Any song about cheating, I'm just gonna bring up Jeremy cheating on Bonnie, because how could you cheat on Miss Bonnie Bennett? Gorgeous, Delana. The Great War feels Stairline a bit. Guilty as Sin, Delana. Hell yeah.